Okay, to begin our Halloween candy catch, we're going to need some different images. And in this example, I've already changed my ghost. This is a ghost that I brought in and removed the background from with the magic eraser tool. Here's your magic eraser tool, click on the background and it deletes it. The checkerboard means that it's transparent. Over here to the right, if I have background turned on, the eye is visible, not visible, then it would show up white. I don't want that. So once you have it the way you want it, and in my case I resized it so it's not as large as it looks. It's about 150 pixels tall. By going to image, image size, I chose 150 pixels in height, and that's what I have. Do a save as. In order to use it in Visual Basic, it cannot be a Photoshop document. We are going to choose PNG, and I called mine Ghost Right. To get it to flip the other way, it's Edit, Transform, Flip Horizontal, and do a save again and save it as Ghost Left. So once again, to get rid of this white background, you choose your magic eraser. It's underneath the main eraser, and it took away part of that, so that's too much. You can change your tolerance by lowering it so it doesn't take quite so much. And there we go. This one has quite a bit of extra space around it, so I'm going to crop it in and click the check mark. And I'm going to save this as candy corn, but I want to flip it upside down because it's actually going to be falling. So edit, transform, flip vertical, and the shadowing looks stupid, but for the purposes of this, it doesn't really matter. And again, you would hide the background layer so you don't see the white background. You just see the transparency, and save as. This one will be candy corn. Make sure you know where you're saving your pictures, and change the type to PNG. A GIF would also keep the transparency, and click OK. In Visual Basic, create a new project, call it Halloween Candy Corn, and first thing you should do, as with all projects, is name your form. And it will begin with a capital H for Halloween Candy Catch. Halloween Candy Catch. Change your text property, and later on we will worry about an icon, but not right now. We're a little short of time for this one. Okay, what's going to happen is we're going to start with simply moving your main character left and right and making that work properly. So in order for that to happen, we're going to need a picture box. So throw a picture box on here, and my main character is going to be down here at the bottom. I'm going to call it Pick Ghost because mine is a ghost. Next, I need to import the resources that I'm going to use. So you can decide which one. My ghost will start out, doesn't matter which one I pick. And set your stretch mode, size mode to stretch. And because it's a PNG, it should be transparent on our background, which means if we wanted, we could change the back color. To a more Halloween-y color. So save your project, and it should pop up with Halloween Candy Catch, and it will go into your projects folders. You should not have to change the name if you created it properly. Okay, to make our ghost move using our arrow keys, it's a key down on the form. So double click your form, and right off the bat, I'm going to get you to go to the very top so you get into the habit of this. Hit your apostrophe 3 times, brings up your big comments here, and write in the name of the project and your name and the date, which is October 23rd, 2014. Now, my form said Form 1 load, which I don't like, and it's because I went here before I named it. I'm going to delete that and go back out and double click my form, and now I have Halloween Candy Catch showing up. So that's why you should name your form before you do anything else. Now I don't want a form load here. We're going to come back to the form load at another time. What I want is a form key down. Look for form key down. Okay, we're going to start out real simple and then we'll make it better. There's two ways that we can talk about which keys. We can use an if statement, and because you've seen the if statement, we'll go with that way for now. But later on, personally, I would use what's called the select case. However, we'll just keep it with if. If e dot key code equals left, and you can just hit L, E, you don't even need to type keys. Just type in LE and it brings up left. Then pick ghost dot left equals pick ghost dot left minus, I don't know, 5. Now the reason it's a minus is because this here at the top left corner, I'm going to click on it, is the point 0, 0. And when I say top left, I mean top left of the form, above the title bar here. 0. So as I come to the right, my x coordinate gets larger. As I go to the left, my x coordinate gets smaller. Now if you run your program, your left should be working. Nothing else is working. And it will move right off the screen. If that's too slow for you, you can have it move by 10 instead of 5. And you can experiment and get your numbers. So if that's how you code for the left, we are going to now code for the right. And I want you to put in here else if. And I'll explain that later. E.keycode equals right, then okay, so there's the code to go to the right, because as x increases, your object goes to the right. So if you run it, left, right. So to make this even better, when I change direction, what else would I do? So when I change direction, I want my picture to change. So you put that right here in with the, if I'm going left, what do? Well, I want pick ghost dot image to equal my dot resources dot ghost left. At this point, I have not imported any other images, so if I try to have it go to the right, my picture doesn't show up. So to import images from here, it's project, properties, resources, add resource, add existing file, and go get your other ghost. While I'm here, I'm going to bring in, I have 2 Grim Reapers and Candy Corn. So these are what I have so far. Okay, I want to show you guys something. You saw how my candy corn was upside down. Because this is a Microsoft product and it's integrated development environment, if you double click one of your objects, go ahead and try this. I can actually rotate it and save it. And if you close Paint, which is another Microsoft product, the changes are saved right here in my Visual Basic. So I was able to rotate my candy corn the way I want, click Save, Close. Now, the only thing is I'm not sure if I kept my transparency, and I will find that out later. Now would be a good time to save. Okay, remove the dot. I want Ghost to the right. When I run my program now, my Ghost moves and my picture changes so it looks better. Okay, so when our project is running, my Ghost can go right off the screen. So basically, as long as the left-hand side of my Ghost is greater than or equal to 0, 0 being the left side of your form, I should be able to move. So in here, when you press your left key, we need to add another condition. We need to add another condition right here. If Ghost dot left, as in the picture Ghost dot left property, is greater than or equal to 0, then go ahead and move that, and you're going to have to add your end if here. So once again, you're going to wrap this line that you already have in an if statement. So we have an if within an if. If pick Ghost dot left is greater than 0, go ahead and go to the left and switch the Ghost. Make sure it's that picture. So if I run that and I go, now it's not going to be perfect, but it will stop. See? Oh, mine's actually pretty good. Yours might not be perfect. Don't worry about it. But it will stop. Okay, to go to the right, it's the same thing. We have to ask if pick Ghost dot, now there is a right property. You can't change it, but you can talk to it. Is less than or equal to, and the biggest size of your form is me.width. Then go ahead and move it, and don't forget your end if. So if I choose the right arrow key, then if the right hand side of my Ghost is still on the form, in other words less than or equal to me.width, then go ahead and move it to the right. Remember, this is how we move to the right. So now left, right. Now mine goes off a little bit. Details, worry about those later. Mostly it's working. So for the next part, we're just going to throw a piece of candy or other object onto our screen. And I have candy corn ready to go. Set the stretch image. And I'm going to squish it. And I did lose my transparency. I'll fix that later when I edited it in Paint. So I probably still have it open here. Edit, transform, flip vertical, save as, Halloween Candy Catch, changes to a PNG, choose candy corn, click save, yes, yes, and then when I go back into here, I believe I need to update it perhaps, or add it. I think I can remove this one and bring it back. And it did tell me I already had one with that name, and that's fine. So now I have my transparency back. Okay, in order for this to work, put your candy basically right in front of your object, because we're not allowing our object to move up and down, so we actually need to run into it. For this part, when we run our program and we move our object, now notice mine goes behind the candy. We can fix that in a second. What happens is there is a square invisible boundary around all objects. And when the bounds of my Ghost intersect with the bounds of the candy, you can say that I've caught it. When the bounds of my Ghost intersect with the bounds of my candy, you can say I've caught it. The question is, where do we write that code? You can either write it in the code where you move the ghost or the code where the candy's falling. So, first of all, if you want your ghost to be on top, right-click on your ghost image and bring to front. And now when I run it, it will be on top of my candy corn. Someone had asked me that earlier. Now you know how to fix it. It's just layers. Secondly, I need to write this code in the ghost move because I haven't got my candy move coded yet. Now it gets complicated. So now what I'm going to do is show you that you can actually put in here your own method which you can call. So find yourself a spot and type in private check collision. Sorry, private sub check collision. And when you hit enter, it adds in parentheses and an end sub. Notice the small c on check and the big C on collision. Again, it's all camel case. What is this doing? Check to see if ghost collides with candy. Write a comment in there to explain the purpose of your method. If pick ghost dot bounds dot intersects with paren pick candy, which I haven't named properly, and I see that now. So I'm going to go back out here and give it a name. I broke my own rule. This should be pick candy. Back to my code. With pick candy dot bounds. Then something happens. If I catch the candy, something's going to happen. We haven't talked about that yet, so all I'm going to do is, well, I'll be really annoying and put up a message box, and you will find that very annoying. Dot show candy caught, like that. Run your program, move your ghost into the candy, and watch what happens. And in my case, nothing. The reason nothing happened is because even though we have this method, we haven't actually called it anywhere. Alright, so we need to check for collision up here where we move, inside of your nested if. So if you press a left key, and if you are in fact moving, then move and check collision. Just like that. That's all you do. Check collision. We need to do the same thing when we go to the right. Check collision. And now you can see why we created a method. If I didn't create a method called check collision, all of the code that I write here, I'd have to write it up here every single time I wanted to check. Run your program, and there we go. Okay? It should be working, and it will be annoying because they'll intersect for quite a while. Okay, so what we've decided is that if we catch the candy, I'm going to comment this out. I don't want the annoying message box. We are going to increase the score, and for that we need a variable. And this variable actually has to be what we call global. Global variables go here. Private score as integer. Okay. Global vars can be used anywhere in our program. Only use globals when necessary. For your globals, instead of using the keyword dim or static, you're going to use private. Okay? And in fact, you actually should prefix them with a G like that. Go ahead and do that. G stands for global. Okay? G-score as integer. Down here, if we collide, then G-score equals G-score plus 1. Okay, we also need to see it. So for now, let's just throw it in our title bar. So me.text equals G-score, just to keep it simple. So if you run your program and you collide with the candy, watch the title bar, and my score is 1. And if I go again, it's 2, 3, 4. Now you can see it's going up too much. We'll deal with that later, but you get an idea. The last thing that we're going to have time for in this lesson is to reset the candy. Pick candy.top equals 0. Pick candy.top equals 0. When I collide, move the candy. So run your program, hit the candy, score goes up, and the candy moves. Watch for it. There we go. Okay? And it's stuck there. We haven't coated the candy yet, but that is the end of what we can do today. So stay tuned next week for Halloween Candy Catch Part 2.